Hello and welcome to the Success with Savita podcast, where we share hot tips on how to do life and business without losing your mind. I'm your host, Savita Nanjappa, entrepreneur, high-achieving 9-to-5er turned transformational success coach, helping you create a wildly successful business. Come hang out with me and other fabulous humans like you every week for stories and chats packed with a healthy dose of tips, resources, how-tos, and real talk. Side effects may include a happier and more confident you with each passing day. Welcome to the Success with Savita podcast. 28th of February is World Rare Disease Day. And for this day, we have put together a special episode and we have a special guest for you. Joining us is Hasitha Illa. She works in HR by profession and by passion, she is a published author, motivational speaker, and a disability advocate. She was diagnosed with a rare disease called Friedreich's ataxia at the age of 10. In the beginning, this diagnosis was obviously very heartbreaking for her. But later on, it fueled the fire to do many things, one of them being to publish a book for children. Join me as I talk to her about her story and how, through her story, she is helping to motivate others. Hi, Hasitha. Welcome to the Success with Savita podcast. I am really excited to have you here. Thank you for making the time. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, getting right off, tell us your story so far, and we'll take it from there. Yeah.
Yes. So, my story is a lot of moving and a lot of the unpredictable thing. So, get ready to go on this journey with me. I'd say buckle up.
Sure.
So basically, I was born in India, in a small town called Kakinada, which is in Andhra Pradesh.
Okay.
So I was around 9 months, and that time my parents sort of realized that we don't stay in one place because I was only 9 months when we shifted to US, and from then on we kept moving and it was crazy. um
Okay.
so moving forward, around 10 years, I guess, I was diagnosed with a rare disease. It's a rare neurological degenerative disorder called Friedreich's ataxia. So, because it's so rare, it took a lot of time for diagnosis.
Okay.
Even doctors didn't know what it was. So, people didn't realize what it was until later on for like 2, 3 years. So, that was a struggle. Yeah, but then later on, there were like a few drug trials which were going on. So I used to participate in all those things, but nothing was really helping me. So that's when I was having like mental struggles, I would say.
Sure.
I was having a lot of mental health struggles, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, all of that was going on. And I was only 10, right?
Okay.
So I didn't know how to deal with this new situation that was in my hands, like all of a sudden. So, and then for me, that was an internal struggle. But then with my environment, with like children and stuff, I used to go to school, like a mainstream school. So over there, like kids would bully me and stuff. So that was also not like favorable, I would say. Like internally, I was going through this, and then environmentally, people were doing that. So it was altogether not good. And that's when my mom, like, America, I was in America at the time, so not many people realized that USA could be a bit lonely, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, just because people are more independent, people are with themselves. So that's
Sure.
how America is. And that's when my mom made the big decision of moving back um, to India. So I was around 15, I would say, around 15 when I moved back. to India, and I think it was just a change of environment. And there was this thing called a Heartfulness, which is a meditation institution. So I would go to that, and then the kids around me, even I used to go to mainstream school in Chennai.
Okay.
So there, like kids around me would be really, supportive and nice. And I think it's just the environment that I was in, and, the positivity and the supportiveness and the encouragement that kind of really changed me as a person, I would say. And yeah, and I was like in India for 10 years, and in those 10 years, I would say like I came back just to transform myself, just for transformation, like just for transformation purposes. I came to India, and there were a lot of incidents that happened, and which actually boosted my confidence and stuff like that. So, and then recently, like only like 9 months back, we made the big decision to move back to US again. And that too because there's a drug which is coming out for people with Friedreich ataxia.
Okay.
And I also got a work transfer. So I work as a HR.
Okay.
So I work in a company which is in India, but also in
US.
Charlotte. So they were really nice to transfer me. And so I also have a job, and I also have this job which is coming up. It's upcoming, but I'm waiting for it to come. Like a little help goes a long way. So looking forward for that.
Yeah, I'm praying for that, of course. So my question for you here is, until the age of 10, you had a very normal life, and then this happened. And then for those 5 years, you went through a lot, right? Like you're saying, medically, emotionally, everything. Do you feel like when you moved back to India, because of the environment that you were in, it also made the way you managed this new way of being much better? It helped you in overcoming the challenges you already had?
Definitely, definitely. I realized that once I came to India and then I met all these people and the environment which I was in, it helped me realize that there's something that's more than this disability that I have. I was all all these 15 years I was just focusing on my disability and stuff that I didn't have. But there's something which is more which is destined for me, I would say. And there's something more to my life, and that's something that I didn't realize until after I came to India. So
Yeah.
that realization, I think, opened so much for me.
To me, this is interesting because, normally the norm is, oh, here we don't have all the facilities. So everybody's always trying to leave the country, right? And here I'm seeing
Yeah.
come back. So that's a heartening story. Next question for you, Hasita, is you were going through all of this, right? What, besides the environmental change and, the support that you got when you moved back, what would you say has been a quality in you? Because there's something in you that is helping you deal with challenges. And like today, you're talking to me and you're reaching out to people. You're being visible. You are a motivational speaker. What is that inner quality you would say is working for you, has worked for you in dealing with challenges?
I think people always tell me, and I think that's correct. That is the willpower that I have, and I never give up. So, and also that even after coming to India, there were a lot of people who were very discouraging and stuff, but those things I think actually fueled my passion, fueled fueled my fire. in me to become more passionate and, advocate about things that people don't really talk about. So I think the passion, the hard work, the never giving up, the willpower, all these things just go hand in hand, and they all work nicely for me.
Yeah. What I hear you say is also that, we sometimes people tell us, right? People like me who are coaches saying mindset is not everything, which is true. It's all about action. But I think what really matters is also the mindset with which you approach challenges which you're doing. What made you then write a book? What brought you into writing? You finished your education and then you started working and started your book, or?
Um, there's one thing which no one knows.
Mhm.
Um, to be when I was in school, I like didn't do good in English. I didn't do good in English at all, and I was a bad writer when I was in school. But then suddenly, I don't know what happened, but it hit me when I came to college, and I started writing. I have a blog also. I really like writing. It's a way of how I express.
Hmm.
So writing is just, it's something that I have, but it's never been in me from the start. It kind
Oh,
of just all of a sudden came. So, and then this book is more about like, the number one question that I get asked from people is, how do you approach a person in a wheelchair, or how do you interact with people in wheelchairs? So I think the best answer, like instead of words, instead of telling them, is to visually show them and see someone who's acting correctly and then get inspired by them. So that's what my book is actually.
okay.
So, how to be a better ally? People with disabilities.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what this book is about. It's actually a children's book
Yeah.
because I want the younger generation, to be more inclusive, and they will shape our future generation. So that's the reason behind it.
Yeah. I really like, I mean, I can connect to this a little bit in a very different way. My daughter goes to a school which also has a lot of, kids with challenges in the same class. So they do have different classes that they take, but they're all in the same class. So for a child like mine who's exposed, they don't see it as differently. So I know you said that, you believe it's really important to start. And what have you seen in your last, 10 years that you've been in India and now that you moved back? What have you seen there's been a better understanding? People have changed, are becoming more aware about being inclusive. Is that something that you've observed? What's been your experience?
I would say that I guess it depends on the area,
Hmm.
or it depends on the people that you're with. With my personal experience, yeah, people are trying to be more inclusive, but there's still a long way to go. Like, because yes, they have to be supportive as a person as well, but then the infrastructure is also not uh, supporting people with disabilities.
Yeah.
And that's not the case over here in the US.
Yeah.
Um, one of the number one differences that I realize is that over here people don't stare.
Yeah.
And in India, like, it's so crazy. A lot of people stare,
Mhm.
and it makes you so uncomfortable. And my mom once told me that people are staring at you because only because you're a big celebrity. That's why they're
How
staring at
sweet.
you.
How sweet.
So from that, that's just in my head always. But yeah, people over here don't stare. They're more like to themselves, like I said earlier. So
Yeah.
that it's a difference.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. Stay tuned as we take a quick break, and we'll see you on the other side of the show. That's very surprising because, we do so much. I think most of the work of inclusivity seems to be happening in the corporate world, but there's still so much work to be done. And something as simple as staring is, you know, it's something that should be very mainstream. Nobody should have to stop and look. It's not something new to see people with any disability. And my next question for you is, share with us a day in your life. About work, your writing. What does a day in your life look like?
Yeah, so basically, I go to work like twice a week,
Okay.
and they have a bus, which so the public transport is very accessible. So
Mhm.
they have a bus, which has ramps and stuff. So I take that bus and I go to office, and office also is pretty much accessible. So I can manage on my own.
Mm.
So I guess the independence that this country has given me has changed my mood itself, because people have said that you are more active, you are more confident. So I think that's the main reason for that. So I every day when I do work, it's more like, cheerful and more confident and stuff like that. So
And
I'm happy that way.
when do you get time to write? When do you usually do your writing?
I'm a nighttime writer. I have this small book where I randomly get no creative things. They always come like randomly, so that's
Yeah.
when I have a book to write them down.
Yeah. And what is what is your advice to people? Like, I mean, you have a certain set of challenges, but then there are many people who feel like everything is great, right? They're privileged. When you look at them, they are not, no one, they don't have disabilities, but they still hold themselves back. They still struggle with confidence. They still struggle with, I'm not ready yet. Can I do this? What is your advice for people going through that from your perspective? What would you tell them?
I would say the number one thing is that our healing, it is not linear,
Mm,
and you should never like compare it with someone else.
mm,
You should never address that healing,
yeah.
because it gets different for everyone. Healing is a curve. It differs for person to person. So you should never rush the process. You should always be delicate with yourself. And you have good days, you have bad days. All days are good.
Mm.
Nothing is good or bad. All days are good. You have to have both days to keep going on. So that's the number one thing which I learned throughout this healing journey. So
Yeah.
which continues. So it's a lifelong process. So never resting.
So what do you tell yourself when you feel down, when you're having a rough day, or when you feel like why me? Why is this happening to me? Do you feel that? And then why me? And if you do, what do you tell yourself when you're down to bring yourself back?
So when I'm usually down, I usually go for food and shopping, but usually overeating and stuff. But no, apart from that, on a serious note, I try to tell myself that with all the rough patches, there's also blessings which we tend to not remember, we tend to forget. And for me, I think the biggest blessing I have is the support system that I have. Like, not only disability, not only physically, but even emotionally, if I need any kind of help. my parents are always there. So I'm set, like physically, emotionally, mentally. If I need anything, I always have someone. So I always remind myself that I'm always set. So I always have this blessing with me, which not everyone has.
Yeah.
So I realize that, and that's what I remind myself.
Yeah. So tell us about your, I was going to ask you about your support system, but I want to now, you've already shared that. So I want to ask you a different question. I, I love the fact that you're on LinkedIn, you're putting yourself out there, you're pitching yourself. And a lot of people don't have the confidence to do that, right? Uh, is this something that you consciously wanted to tell us about your speaking engagements? Tell us, how do you manage to get so much done, being on social media, creating content, pitching yourself, doing your talks, being on a podcast? How do you do all of this?
Um, for me, I think my speaking journey was something totally different, totally wild, which happened. When I was in India, I'm basically a shy person. I don't speak. Like when I had my first, like how in school they have this presentation for posters and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I used to cry for those. That was me during school. And so I used to never have the confidence for public speaking and stuff. And you would be shocked to say that I got uh, speaking. That was my first one. It was a speaking engagement with uh, Tara Zameen Par. It was called Tara Zameen Par with Shankar Madhavan. So that literally that event changed my whole this thing because it gave me so much of confidence. It gave me so much of like, oh, I can, you know, um, motivate other people. Like I didn't know that I could do all that.
Yeah.
And after that speech that I gave, that's when I realized that I could, and that's when I continued to do it after that.
Okay. And now you consistently end up pitching yourself. What I personally love people who pitch themselves because I think it's the hardest thing to do. But when you reach out to people, you may be not hearing back from a lot of people. So handling all of that, handling that rejection is challenging. But having said that, I still commend you on being on social media. But more than anything, pitching yourself unapologetically. And hats off to you on that. And I hope your speaking career is a long one, and I hope you're able to motivate more and more people. Now, I want to ask you about when you wrote the book. Did you have any, writing training, or you just decided one day that you're going to start writing the book, put it together?
um, I I don't read also.
Okay.
That I don't read also. That's something that a lot of people were shocked about. That you don't read. How do you write? Um, I don't read also, but it's what it is. I kind of just wrote, and I had a team with me. So the book had illustrations. So that was with one illustrator called Niyati Sharma. She is also children's book, illustrator. So I worked with her, and we also had a parenting coach called Sakshi. Her name was Sakshi. So we all like pitched in together and we wrote this book. So a good one.
Yeah.
And we added like value to this book by adding like parenting tips in the end of the book for approaching people with disabilities and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. It's definitely on my, it's going to be a gift that I'm going to give my daughter for sure. With that, we have a little game before we wrap up our interview. And
yes.
I'm going to call out some words and you have to just say the first thing that comes to mind. Okay. So let's try this. Life is, complete the sentence.
Unpredictable.
Okay. Yes. True. Books are?
Um, Books are deep, I would say.
Okay. Family?
Family is my heart.
Okay. Are you a cat person or dog person?
I'm a dog person.
Okay. A favorite quote, if you have one. Maybe you have many, but one that stands out.
Um, One that I really like currently is that you weren't born to break.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. That's a good one. A favorite book. I mean, I know you just said that you don't read, but is there?
I don't read, but I read this one book. It's in our mission as in heartfulness meditation. They release books, so I read this one book of theirs called My Masters,
Okay.
which is a spiritual book. So not many people can relate to it, but I really loved it. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm glad I completed it.
Okay. 3 words about you that describe you best.
I would say talkative, deep.
Okay.
I'm a deep person and I laugh a lot.
Okay.
So I guess loud,
Okay.
very loud.
No, I think it's not loud. I heard you laugh. I think before it wasn't very loud, but lovely 3 words to describe you. Before I let you go, share with me your favorite confidence tip. Something that maybe I'm going to give a talk, or I'm going to be on a podcast interview, or I'm going to be on a TV show. What is your one hack to come across as confident? Do you, if you have?
Yes. When I was on stage, there were so many times that I was so scared, and there was just one tip which changed my, whole speaking, like all speeches. One person told me that act as if no one is there and no one knows your story but you. No one knows your story but you. So even if you forget, even if you lie, even if you, pause, no one's gonna find out. So own your story because no one knows it better than you. So that just changed everything.
Yeah, that's a wonderful tip. Actually, it's a good one. And finally, now any last words, a message for our audience. Our audience is so mixed. We have a lot of women, we have a lot of business owners, but what is one message that you'd like to leave for our audience? Anything that you'd like to share?
I think women specifically, I would say never, you should always dream big. Just because you're a woman, never like think that, you're down there or like anything. You always have to dream big and keep going on. Yeah.
And do you dream big? What's next for you?
I'm not sure. Hopefully something. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing and thank you for making the time with us today and for being here with us today. I think it's been a lovely conversation to have. And yes, wishing you all the best. And we hope to have you back maybe in a year. If you write another book as well, we hope to have you
Yes,
back.
definitely. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Hasitha. Thank you. And all the best cheering you on. Let us know, how you're doing. And we are all here with you, supporting you. And thank you for being here today, Hasitha. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you like this episode and you want more, you can go to the show notes on my website, which is successwithsavita.com/podcast. If you like what you've heard so far, I would be grateful to you if you could leave me a 5-star review, subscribe to this podcast, and share with a friend who may find this useful. You can also follow me on my Instagram at Success with Savita and DM me any questions you may have, and I will be happy to answer them for you. Until the next episode, believe in yourself and all the best to your success.